Hello everyone, in this video I'll be showing you a beginner's guide to Elden Ring and how to get a easier start because this game is quite brutal and it's directionless at the start a little bit. So I'll show you the best choices to make. So for our class we'll be starting with, the best class is actually the Samurai. This gives us the best stats and it gives us a weapon that we can literally beat the game with. So going with this is going to be ideal for us, and you can select your character how you want them to look. And for the keepsake, I would recommend grabbing the golden seed. This will give us another heal early on in the game, which is extremely useful. So we're going to start off with this. And now right at the start of the game, you do have to go through a bit of a tutorial. So immediately when we start, we got our bow in the offhand. You can just press left on the D-pad, unequip it, and bring out our shield. If you want, you can also press the triangle or Y button and then press your right attack button to two-hand your katana. This is just going to give it a little bit more strength, so I'd recommend doing this near the start of the game, and you can just go ahead here and grab this item. We just got to go through the tutorial here. Another thing I want to let you know is some people play this game without even sprinting, but pressing the B or the circle button on PlayStation controller will let you run faster. So this is nice. You really want to be using run as much as possible. It's helpful in fights, so you can curl your finger around like that to be able to press the button and control your sticks around as well. After fighting the quick little boss there, you're likely going to lose. You'll get yourself the Flask of Crimson Tears. So this is our heals that we're going to be using. The Cerulean Tears will give you your FP, which is like mana here. So you can switch between them by pressing down on the D-pad. And I would recommend growing all heals for your first time playing. This is just going to give you better survivability, which is what this game is all about. And to speak further to that, you also want to be healing or focusing on your vigor, which is your health stat. So every time that you level up, that is going to be the best stat to put forward, because more survivability means you can take more hits and learn the bosses better. So you just got to go through this quick tutorial setting here and just straight forwards this elevator, which will take us out to the lands between. So I guess I'll just go over some of the best places and things to do at the very start here. You're just going to literally run out of the door here. So this is the beautiful Limgrave. This is the starting area. There is a boss straight forward right above my character's head there. Do not fight it right at the start. It's going to be a challenge. You can go ahead here and talk to this character. He's going to call you Maidenless. But our first destination is this church over here. So the graces will actually point us in the direction that we need to go. You can see there's a golden light here showing us to go straight forwards over here. The actual place that we want to go first afterwards is over there, which is going to be an easier area. Now for this, you can just sneak past them or run past it. Don't fight it. It's going to be a very hard challenge. It's kind of there to teach you that sometimes you don't want to fight bosses. You want to come back to them later. Once you arrive at the Church of Ella here, there's going to be a merchant, and you can also upgrade your weapons at that anvil. You can only upgrade them to level 3, and later on we'll go actually get a real blacksmith to be able to upgrade our weapons, but you can just go ahead here. It'll give you smithing stones, and you can purchase some things from this merchant here. So a little Santa Claus looking fella, so you can just chat with him here. Anytime that you see cookbooks, these are going to be things that allows you to learn new items to craft, so I always recommend grabbing these first. Also, cracked pots will allow you to craft different items. And then there's some notes here, but I would just recommend grabbing those later on. You also want to purchase the crafting hit here to be able to make yourself some items. Next is telling us to run over here, and this is a little bit challenging because there is a lot of enemies in this area. We don't have our horse yet, but we will get it soon. So I'd recommend just running over here and just following along, watching out for the enemies. You can also fight them too, and they're not too challenging, but a little bit up ahead there's going to be a large group of them where you might get jumped. So overlooking this village here, I don't recommend running into there. Actually, where we want to go is there's a grace right above my head there, and we're just going to run our way over there. Once you make your way here, you can then rest here, and this is going to give us a little bit of a cutscene, which gives us some more information on the game. So you can accept this here. She's going to help you by letting you level up and use your runes. And you also get the Spectral Steed Whistle, which is your mount. This opens things up and lets us go ahead to some more challenging areas right at the start of the game. We can also go ahead and add our Flask charge. So we got that golden seed from the start of the game, give us another health. And I would recommend also taking away your Cerulean Flask and just having 5 health potions. This helps a lot more as you can go ahead with upgrading your character. And I would also recommend to boost up, I can't right at the moment, but get your vigor up to 30 max before you start messing around with the other stats. Dexterity is going to be a main one for our weapons, but I would recommend going all in to 30 to 40 vigor and then putting some endurance. This allows us to equip heavier weight and gives us more stamina so we can attack longer. So these are our 2 main stats. Just pump your vigor at the very start of the game. That's going to be very ideal for us. And then later on, you can start to experiment with adding in strength or dexterity, depending on what weapon you want to use. Dexterity is going to be probably best for the first playthrough. Now, once we got our horse here, we're actually going to be making our way. So you can press the left button there on the middle, and you can see there's these little things here. This is going to be where we go ahead here to get our maps. So you don't get a huge map just yet, so we're just going to run there, and then we'll go a little bit further ahead. It's literally just straight ahead here, so you can just avoid all them. There's also an item in that there at the back side of that little chest. But what we're going to do is through the gate front runes here, we're just going to run ahead here, grab this, and this now gives us a map. This is also a nice practice spot because there's a few enemies that'll refresh every time that you go to a grace. So you can just run down there, watch out for the guy right above where my head is, because he has a horn which will call all of them over, which makes this a lot more challenging. But if you die, it's no big deal. You can always just go and run and grab your runes. But now what we're going to do is you're going to add the horse to our equip bar at the bottom there. So you're just going to go over to here, and then you can go ahead, you can just use it here, but you can also go ahead and add it to the bar at the bottom. So going into our equipment here, we'll just go down. You can see your health potions at the bottom. You're just going to go ahead and add a spectral steed whistle here. So now it's now in our bottom here. Also, you press and hold on the bottom, it's going to take us right to the first item, which is our flask. So if you're ever panicking and need health, you can just press and hold that. So what we're going to do is we're literally just going to run straight ahead here through this gate runes. And there's a few different areas that we can stop at. Anytime you see these golden trees, there's going to be a little mini boss there you can fight. There's also some graces along the way, so anytime you see them, go and pick them up. But what we're going to do is we're going to go and fight one of the, or fight, I guess is a loose way of putting it, but we're actually just going to go ahead and fight one of the bosses that doesn't even attack us. It's a paralyzed dragon. It's going to give us a ton of runes. So yeah, you can watch out for these guys here. We're just going to continue along down this path here. Just take your horse, you can ignore everybody and just follow along. Also, when you come over here, there's going to be a guy yelling for help, and he's actually just going to be this bush here, so you can just go ahead and attack this bush. It's literally right outside here, and this is Bach, so you can just go ahead and chat with him. So Bach has a little bit of a quest line here, not super important right off the bat. We just got to watch out for the guys on horseback here, but we're just going to continue on towards this tree over here, and we're actually going to go to a very high level area, but that's not to worry because it gives us a very large amount of runes, which will make the early game a lot easier. So you can see on the map here that we're starting to get a little bit bigger. What we're going to do is we're going to go to this fork on the road and just continue to follow along this way. So you'll come along a grace right around here, and then you can see we got ourselves another map fragment to grab. So we're just going to make our way over here. You can place a marker on here if you'd like, just to help out with the running to it. As you can see from the map marker, it's actually going to light it up. So when it's hazy at night like this, you can make your way there, and then you can see right ahead that this is where it's at. Avoid these bears at all costs. The bears are very brutal to fight early on in the game, so we're just going to run here and grab this item and then hop on our spectral steed and run away again and just continue on the path. It's actually a bit north from where we're at, so you can just place a map marker down. We want to make our way over to this red area, which is very brutal, but it's worthwhile going here. Also, if you see any of these little dung beetles here, what you can do is you can go ahead and attack them. Some will give you items, some will just replenish your health potions if they're red, some will replenish your magic potions if they're blue. So yeah, they all give you different things. This one's just health potions. Also, right around here, this minor Erd tree, there's going to be this spot right here. This actually leads to a huge underground section, so you can go ahead and grab this as well, the Safra River Well. So this is actually a very beautiful spot. So you'll need to come back here for some later quests. I'd recommend just grabbing it though, because the more graces that we have, the better. It is a little bit more of a challenging area again, so I wouldn't fully recommend doing anything other than just grabbing the grace down here, but it's nice to have some of the underground ones for later. This game has a massive underground with lots of great loot down here, but I, again, wouldn't recommend doing this until we're a little bit stronger, but again, you can just hop down here, get some cool items, and then jet back out and go back up on our merry way. So back on our trip to this northern section here, we're actually just going to go up there and continue going that way. And while we're here, there's a church right here, which is going to be a very useful item that we definitely want to grab. So some people actually go most of the game without even grabbing this. All the churches give us nice benefits. So right in front of the lady there's going to be a thing that'll give your heals more efficiency. But this right here is the Wondrous Flask. So with this, we picked up some items earlier that actually gave us more choices for this, but basically what it is a potion that lets you do whatever you want. Those sacred tears will also upgrade our heals, so what we'll do is we'll just go back to the grace. The Wondrous Flask is nice because you can make it so that you do more damage, and you can increase the amount replenished by flasks with this sacred tear. So every church that you go to will make your heals more effective, and then you can mix your Wondrous Flask here. So with this one, we can give ourselves half of our health back, and then also giving us a boost to our stamina. which is really nice. The spike cracked here will increase our charge attacks. You'll get a lot of these as the game progresses. We can also talk to Melina here. We also want to travel back to the first church that we went to, as well as Ranni the witch will be there. And that you probably, if you've seen anything about this game, you've probably seen them. So she's just going to give you some lore drop here, so you can pay attention to that. So this is a very crucial place to go to. Watch out for the large troll enemies here, and we're going to try and make our way up to here, which is just going to further bring us to Caelid, which is the next location where that paralyzed dragon, which gives us a ton of levels, will be. And you can also jump towards these. Also, here is a here's one that'll give us an item, so you can go ahead with that. So with these, you just jump straight up and it'll launch you up into the sky. This makes it easy for us to just continually go ahead further and further. And now that we're up here, we're just going to continue along on the path. So this is where we're at now. We're going to run our way over to here. And this is Caelid. This is one of the scariest places in the game. You may be wondering why I'm leading you this way. You're going to see in some time here. This makes the game a lot easier going over here. Also, this is a place that we will want to go at some point in the game, so it's not a bad idea to get these unmarked first. And there's also another church here so that we can go ahead, but watch out, you're going to get invaded here, so this might not be the best area to go towards. Whenever you get invaded, you do lose your mount, so you do have to fight a enemy here. Also, avoiding there is a good idea too, because they can one or two shot you, so if you mess up, you're done. So just avoid that section for now. There's actually another spot we can rest right up ahead. So just once you hop over the fence there, you get to our first spot in Caelid. Also, there's a lot of terrifying things like those giant birds right there. We're going to avoid those, as well as the giant dogs. And then what we're going to do is actually just going to run straight ahead. We actually can't see where we need to go yet, so we're just going to run straight over here and just run. That's my recommendation. Run, run, run. This area is full of lots of scary stuff, so as I mentioned, you just want to avoid it all. At the start of the game, it's about gathering some items. You can play and go to the lower section of the map, which I'll show off after we go over here, because this gives us 74,000 runes, which gives us a nice chunk of levels, so we don't have to grind too much at the start of the game. Always be on the lookout for graces, though. These are going to be ways that we can just save our progress, so that if we get jumped by one of these enemies, we don't have to worry. You can also press your left stick to be able to dismount from your horse, making this a lot quicker. When the dogs start howling at us, that's kind of scary, but again, you can outrun them on our horse. Also, anytime you see graveyards like this, they'll give you runes, which allows you to level up as well. You just go to your inventory and use those items. We're just going to continue along this way. And actually, right by the graves, there's this spot here, which we can actually jump over and avoid a lot of annoyances. So we can just continue this way, and you'll see another grace right up ahead. And once you make your way over here, she'll actually offer you to go to Roundtable Hold, which is actually the spot that we can upgrade our items. It's kind of like our hub world, so I'd recommend going there. She'll normally ask you to go there at a different grace, but if you stray a little bit further ahead, she'll offer that to you now. So we'll go there. It's worth it. Once at Roundtable Hold, there's a bunch of people that we can talk to. The most notable ones is we're going to go in and around here, and there's going to be this husk that we can talk to and get some items from. So just right here, you can chat with them. They have a bunch of items that you can purchase. And you can also, if you take out any merchants, you can take their bell bearing, which is an item that they drop, and you'll be able to get the items that that merchant sold. So if you accidentally kill a merchant, no big deal. You can still purchase their items. And then we're going to run over here, and this is where we're going to be running to often. This is Hugh. He's going to be the blacksmith that's going to upgrade our weapons, and kind of a sad story with him, but you basically can just take your smithing stones here for him to upgrade everything. And you can also change out Ash of Wars on your weapon, which is basically the weapon skill. So if you want to put a different skill in the weapon, you can do that. We picked this item up off of that scarab earlier, the dung beetle, and it puts holy damage on our weapon, which isn't something that we really want. Holy damage is one of the worst damage types in the games, but we'll just continue along back to where we were, so you can leave the Table of Lost Grace and just return back to where we were. And lucky for us, the map piece is literally just right ahead too, so we can go ahead and grab that. And we're very close to the paralyzed dragon. It's very hard to miss as it's just laying there on the ground. So yeah, the map fragment is literally just right here. And there's some even scarier enemies here. There's all these dragons, so you're just going to want to avoid them and continue straight forward past them, as these will literally destroy you. It's not worth fighting them. The dragons you'd want to fight are near the base where we started off at from, and going a little bit south. You can see some horrific imagery in this area, and we're just going to continually run this way, as this is where we get towards that paralyzed dragon. And here it is. It's just laying there. We just literally ran straight from where we came from. And I'll show this off on the map. So we're in Dragon Barrow, and it's just right here. You'll see this big tree here. There's gonna be a fort there that we can go and rest at. But this is the dragon. This is going to take a long time to fight it. That's just part of the, I guess, part of it. Watch out for the other dragons that'll be nearby. We don't want them to be aggroed on us. and especially so the ones with red eyes are going to be even stronger. So if you need to, we can just run straight ahead over here. Anytime that you rest at a grace, it's going to reset all the enemies, so you don't have to worry about them, as they may be on our tail. So we're just going to go here and rest. This part is a little bit grindy. We literally just go right up to this dragon. It's huge, and attack its tail. So with weapons like katanas, it's the reason that I selected this weapon at the start. So what happens with a katana is you can do bleed damage. So we're just going to continually pick away at it. You can see there its health bar. It's not going to die anytime soon. But the thing with bleed is it does a flat out 10% of their damage. So it's a little bit more than 10%. So we're just going to continually hack away at it. You may seem like it's worthless, but you see there, you got a bit of its health down. This is very annoying to do fights, so you're just going to spam attack it, but it's going to be worth it in the end, because this means we won't have to do a ton of grinding later on. I would recommend just letting your stamina bar come all the way back up and then just depleting it again. It does feel like this is grindy, and it is. You're just going to continually attack and try to trigger the bleed. This will give you a good idea how many hits you need to trigger your bleed on some bosses, which is a good mechanic to get to using. And we finally beat the dragon. This does take some time, so you just continue to watch the video to see what we're going to be doing next. But once it gets downed, it's going to disappear there. You get a dragon heart, which we can use to get some different spells. But yeah, this is going to give us a ton of runes, which we can then go and upgrade our health. So just run back to this site of grace here. And when we go and level up, we haven't leveled up at all yet, and this will get ourselves 35 vigor. So going from level 9 to 32, this is definitely worth it to make this a whole lot easier early game, because now our health bar is going to be massive. You can see there, it grew in literally 3 or 4 times its size, which just means we have a lot more survivability now. So now that we have this down, this is nice, because the next one of the bosses we'll be fighting is over here. But what we're going to do is we're actually just going to go right back to the Church of Ella here, and we're going to get ourselves something important, a summon. So when you land here, you'll see someone say, "This way, Tarnish, may I have a word?" This is Ranni the Witch, who is a very important character in the game. You can get a special quest line from them that offers you one of the best weapons in the game, and it also gives you a unique ending. So I recommend helping them out. I also have a guide on how to do that here, but she's talking about Torrent, which is the horse, and she will give you this spirit calling bell and the lone wolf ashes. So these ashes are summons that we can get, and with this, anytime you fight a boss, you can summon those in. I would recommend you also get a jellyfish up ahead, which helps out a lot. So you can just go ahead here and go and assign the lone wolf ashes. So whenever you get out into a fight, there's certain areas in the game where you can bring them out. You can't unless it's like a boss fight or specific areas in the game. But what we're going to do is we're actually going to continue back to the gate front here, as this will take us towards the first boss, which you can see this image here. This is the first dungeon that we're going to be doing. It is a little bit challenging, but we got ourselves a ton of health here. Watch out for the troll up ahead. We're just going to literally storm through Stormgate here and just follow along the path. Once we get up here, there's going to be a little purple thing. Anytime you see item near a golden tree, always grab it, because it's likely going to be increases to our flask charges, which is something we definitely want. You also want to be on the lookout for smithing stones, as those are going to be how we upgrade our weapon. And weapon upgrades are pretty much like boosting your damage. I wouldn't recommend touching your damage stats until a little bit later on in the game. But in here, there's actually going to be a lady that we can talk to, and we'll get ourselves another summon, which I think is actually a little bit better, because it can poison the enemy that we're fighting, and it also doesn't go down as quickly as the wolves do. But the wolves can be nice as well. She'll actually be the one that gives us upgrades to our summons as well, because you can power them up even stronger, similar to our weapon. So just chatting with her there, keep talking to her. Another thing with games like this, you want to talk to characters multiple times. She also gets this little protective barrier around her, because there's a enemy coming around. So yeah, she'll be going to she goes to Roundtable hold there. You're just going to chat with her until she starts repeating her dialogue, and then from here we're just going to continue along towards the castle there. That's gonna be the next spot that we need to go to in the game. So it's always going to guide you there, and the first skill check boss will be up ahead, so it's telling us to go over that way, which we'll just follow along this path. Another dung beetle there will give us the wild strikes attack, which is very powerful on certain weapons that we'll get later on in the game. We're just going to make our way through this here, and there's going to be another grace before we get to Margit, which is the first skill check boss of the game. I'd recommend making our way here, although you may not fight them. It's just nice to have this grace, because this is going to be the area where we actually fight our first challenging fight of the game. Now that we made it to this location, what we actually want to do is you could challenge the boss, see how you get with it. If it's a bit of a challenge, we're going to want to get more smithing stone upgrades. So from there, what we'll be doing is actually going to the southern section here. So this bridge here leads us to a whole area down here. This is actually a lower level area than this area here, and we get a lot of good loot down there, so you can go explore. There's actually a castle at the very bottom, which will give us a legendary weapon that we can get. It's a great sword, which is a little bit slower, and I still recommend this weapon here. But there's also some other areas in here that we can go get. There's also this hole here, which will give us this is a cave that has an item that we want. There's a few different items early game. I would recommend just using this katana here, but if you want to get a second copy of our weapon, there's a tomb right here. You go through there and you'll get another Yuji katana, so we can actually dual wield both of them. I recommend that because the weapon can be put with any damage type. So later on, you'll get different spirit ashes here that'll give you different weapon damage types. So whenever you go to the blacksmith, you can change those around. We're just going to add another flask charge here. So I'll just give us a little bit of a combat guide, since the combat in this game is maybe a little bit different for some. You can use your shield. The shield is good for blocking and parrying things, but I'd actually recommend just focusing on the katana to start off with, because you're going to want a dodge roll to avoid. Dodging is going to be our best thing, and whenever we look at our equipment load, there's going to be this right down on the side here, right above my head. It says medium load. You always want to have that medium or light, never heavy. Whenever it's heavy, your dodge rolls won't have very many invincibility frames, leading you to get taken out very quickly. So with this, we're just going to go ahead here. I'll show off what combat will look like. If you're able to sneak up behind an enemy, this is perfect. You can also crouch with the left stick to go up and do a stealth attack here. I didn't do that perfectly. But with combat, what you want to do is anytime you see shield guys here, you're going to try and read their attacks. I would recommend dodge rolling towards or away. It really depends on the attack that we're going against. So you can see there was an opening, so I was able to stun them. You can get them in a bit of a stun lock whenever you do a dodge roll there. And you want to dodge roll towards them, because this gives you the most invincibility frames through their attack frames. And this is going to be something that's very common that we'll be focusing on whenever we're doing any type of combat. The first skill test fight of the game, whenever you get into it, it will be a challenge. You may need to get more levels and upgrade your weapon. You can see here he's got some very brutal attacks. I brought out the jellyfish there right at the start. The jellyfish is going to continually spit at him and do poison damage. It'll also grab his aggro, so that's one of the nice things about using the spirit summon. Spirits are good for the first time playing around. If you go on subsequent playthroughs, you can focus on not using them, but he'll get its aggro, and then we can go from behind and attack it. And it also has this it has a few attacks that'll hit us multiple times. So dodge and rolling to the side I found works best for Margit, the Fell Omen. He'll also take out your spirit summon pretty quickly, so just be mindful of that. But it will deal poison damage, which is nice. Trying to spread its aggro between yourself and him, as it can last a little bit longer. But you can see the green on his character there, so he's getting hit by it. I'm not doing a great job of avoiding his attacks. Just be mindful of your health. With no weapon upgrades, this is a bit of a challenging fight, but getting comfortable with the dodge timing for these attacks will help out. Margit is a very tough fight early game, especially if you don't have any weapon upgrades, because you're not going to be hitting them very hard. But overall, you want to try and spread the aggro between yourself and the jellyfish. He'll also do some charge attacks, and his attacks do have a bit of a delay to them. Oh, I dodge rolled right into that one. That was not ideal. But with our Wondrous Flask, we do got a lot of different options for damage. We broke his posture here, which is perfect. This allows us to do a charge attack, which is going to do a bit more damage. Just be mindful of your overall stamina, as he does have a lot of attacks that he'll bring out. I always try to avoid being too near my jellyfish, because it can go down pretty quickly. We got our bleed off there, and we finished off Margit, the Fell Omen. That went a little bit better than expected with no weapon upgrades. But yeah, the jellyfish is a great item to use early game. You also get a talisman pouch from beating him, and that leads us to a first dungeon of the game, which has actually what I think to be an easier final boss than the one that we just faced there. So yeah, just going straight ahead here. You'll be going through this castle. I recommend exploring through the full castle. You can speedrun in a couple minutes, and just continue exploring in Elden Ring. So that covered pretty much everything. How to get yourself high level, and we showed off some weapons, some different items you can get, and also combat. So let me know if you have any questions. I'm always happy to help with Elden Ring. Hit the subscribe button below if you haven't already, and I'll see you all in the next video.